Are you walking your impulses or are your impulses walking you? You are not doing the work. The work is working you. A response is whereby you choose your activity. Are you walking the dog or is the dog walking you? Now, if like me, if you have a pet and you own a dog, or even if you didn't, you likely would have seen owners taking their dogs out for a walk. And there are two kinds of owners. There's one kind of a pet owner or a dog owner where they'll take their dog out for a walk. In other words, they are walking the dog. Then there's the second kind of person whereby the dog is walking the owner. You know what that looks like? And then the dog goes, ah, and then they're running in all different directions, and the owner is the one who's taken out for a walk or for a run by their dog. Which kind of an owner are you? Do you walk your dog or does your dog walk you? Because your dog, my friends, I'm not referring to a physical dog. The dog is your impulse. The dog is your impulse. Are you walking your impulses or are your impulses walking you? You see, that is the difference between a response and a reaction. You see, when you have a reaction or if you're reacting to something, that is to say, your impulse are walking you. In fact, your impulse are driving you. Your impulse is running you. What kind of impulses? How about impulses around food, around binge eating? Oh, I'm feeling hungry. Even though I just had a meal, maybe I'm going to snack a little bit more. Or if I have a choice between eating something healthy and eating something unhealthy, my impulse is driving me towards that unhealthy thing. What about impulses around work, for example? Yes, one thing after another thing, and after another thing, after another thing. And so an impulse of overworking that drives you. In other words, you are not doing the work. The work is working you. Another kind of impulse, perhaps, maybe you're the sort of person, you're run by this. I can't help myself. I've got to go on Instagram to see what other people are doing. Or I need to go onto Facebook and recognize and go look at what other people are doing. In other words, the social media is the dog. The social media is driving you, driving your day, driving your activities, or driving your procrastination. Or how about this one? As an example, you tell yourself, I want to be patient. I want to have a normal conversation, or even when we have a disagreement with my boss, with my colleagues, with my spouse, with my children. And then the moment something goes wrong, you shout, you yell, you lash at them, you lose control. Any of that sound familiar to you? Because if it does, that is to say you are being run by your impulses. What is an impulse? An impulse creates a feeling. An impulse comes in a form of some kind of an emotion, or I need to do this now, I need to do that now. But the impulse is in control of you. The dog is walking you. So if that's not working for you, and we want instead a response, what's a response? A response is whereby you are walking the dog. A response is whereby you choose your activity. When it comes to the food, am I choosing to eat a little bit more of this or to eat a little bit more of that? Or in fact, choosing not to eat that little bit more. A response is whereby I'm choosing, do I want to go onto my social media now? For what reason? As opposed to, I just found myself losing just 2 hours on social media. A response is if my boss, my client, my friend, my wife or husband or children say or do something that doesn't meet my expectation or doesn't meet what I wanted them to say or to do, I choose how I want to respond. I choose what I'm going to say instead. I choose My response. What is the difference between a response and a reaction? This is the difference, my friends. That's right. A pause. To pause. The difference between a response and a reaction comes down to a pause. What happens when you pause? When you pause, you allow yourself to breathe. When you pause, you allow a moment for your nervous system to get back into balance. When you pause, you know what happens when you pause and you breathe? Breathing is the foundation of life. In other words, when you are alive, you are conscious. Pausing allows you to be conscious of what's next. In other words, no longer is the dog walking me, but I am choosing where and how to walk my dog. So here's a practice for you. Cultivate the 1 second rule. The 1 second rule. What is the 1 second rule? The 1 second rule is that 1 second where you pause. Where you pause. Here's what I mean. Everything that you do, take one more second to do it. Take one more second in between. When it comes to eating, you know how some people are eating and they put food in their mouth and they're munching a full mouthful of food and they're munching. Before they even finish munching, that they got ready the next handful of food. I went to see a friend in hospital just a few days ago, and he was involved in an accident and he's unable to feed himself right now. And when I arrived, his wife turned to me. His wife was just in the middle of feeding him. And his wife turned to me and said, okay, now you take over the feeding. He doesn't like me when I'm feeding him. And I said, what's going on? And he's complaining. He says, look, you put a mouthful in my mouth. I haven't finished chewing, and your next spoon is coming into my mouth. So you need to give me time to swallow my food. And she's like, I'm giving you time, but you're taking a long time. See, a lot of you are doing the same to yourself. So 1 second rule. When your mouth is ready for the next mouthful, wait 1 second. Then you put the next mouthful into your mouth. When you're in between tasks, you have a whole to-do list. You're getting from email to email, calling to this client and doing that thing. In between tasks, just pause. 1 second. Just breathe and then get yourself to the next task. In the morning when you wake up, most people are woken up by an alarm clock. It's interesting. They call it an alarm clock. The first sound you hear in the morning is an alarm. And that's exactly how a lot of people wake up in the morning. They get alarmed, they jump out of bed. Now, the moment you open your eyes, wait 1 second. Then arise from your bed. 1 second rule. When you're having a conversation with somebody and the person's saying something and you have a rebuttal, there's something you want to say back, just wait. 1 second. Pause. When you've learned something, I know you're here. You're likely watching this video because you want to learn something. When you've learned one thing, pause. Let the message, let the learning, let the lesson settle. Then go on to the next thing. So practice the 1 second rule. That 1 second can well become 2 seconds. It could then become 3 seconds. As you get into this practice, you are training your body to pause. When you train your body to pause, then your body can choose. Then that is when you respond instead of react. Then you will walk your dog and your dog will stop walking you. So all the best to you. 1 second. Breathe. Namaste. I'll see you in the next video.